Actor Bela Lugosi is well known for his title role appearance in the 1931 classic horror movie Dracula. But little information circulates about the times he visited the IE. Born in Hungary in 1882, Bela Lugosi began acting in Hungarian stage plays in the early 1900s. In 1917, he began appearing in Hungarian silent movies. Following his 1920 move to Germany, in part due to political turmoil in his homeland, he was featured in German silent movies. In late 1920, he emigrated to the United States, arriving first in New Orleans, then eventually moving to New York City with the intention of breaking into the Broadway stage. In New York City, he appeared in a number of American silent movies. On the Broadway stage, he achieved his biggest fame for his portrayal of Count Dracula in the 1927 stage adaptation of the Bram Stoker novel. Lugosi and the play eventually went on a U.S. tour. When it ended in Los Angeles, Lugosi decided to make the city his new home. When Universal Studios secured the film rights to the Dracula novel and stage play, a number of actors were considered for the lead role, including Conrad Veidt, Paul Muni, and Lon Chaney Sr. But the part was awarded to Bela Lugosi. It was his first talkie, and his exotic Hungarian accent worked in his favor for the portrayal of the Transylvanian vampire. Dracula made its San Bernardino debut at the Downtown California Theater on April 13, 1931. Because of much local interest, it was booked for a 6-day run. This booking was considered longer than average for a movie in the IE. The ad called it fiction's most amazing character in the most sensational thriller the screen has ever shown. In late June 1931, Bela Lugosi became a citizen of the United States in a Los Angeles ceremony. Like Bela Lugosi, Inland Empire resident Cornelius de Bakshi was a native of Hungary. The pair were friends. De Bakshi was the founder, editor, publisher of the Fontana Herald newspaper and was politically active in the IE from the 1920s until the late 1940s. In late July 1931, he was celebrating the opening of his newspaper's new printing plant. Bela Lugosi was one of the invited guests. In mid-May 1932, a column of Fontana happenings appeared in the local newspaper. The article reported that Bela Lugosi was a visitor at the home of Cornelius de Bakshi and his wife. In January 1933, Bela Lugosi married his fourth wife, Lillian Arch, in Las Vegas, Nevada. She was the daughter of Hungarian immigrants living in Los Angeles. In July 1934, it was reported that a home was being built on property owned by Bela Lugosi, adjacent to Horseshoe Bend in the San Bernardino Mountains. In mid-September 1935, another Fontana visit by Bela Lugosi was documented in the local newspaper. Lugosi and his wife Lillian were guests of their friends the de Bakshis at their Fontana home. In February 1936, the fourth of 8 movies to star both Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff began a run at the Warner Brothers Ritz Theater in downtown San Bernardino. The film was The Invisible Ray, yet another horror movie. By then it was apparent to Lugosi that he had become typecast. The next reported sighting of Bela Lugosi in the Inland Empire took place on July 14, 1936, at the Redlands Bowl. It was a hot day in the IE city of Redlands, with the temperature reaching 104 degrees. The next day, the newspaper reported not only the temperature, but revealed that Lugosi spoke to the Redlands Bowl audience. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we had a very hot day today, didn't we?" Lugosi was present to introduce the evening's performers, interpretive dancer Waldine and violinist Dutsi de Karagyarto. Like Lugosi, the violinist was a native of Hungary, so the actor was there to support his fellow countryman and close friend. It was reported that in his introduction of the musician, Lugosi spoke briefly but glowingly about his friend's genius. In November 1937, the Magyars soccer football team from Los Angeles came to San Bernardino to play an athletic club sponsored by the Santa Fe Railroad. The LA team was made up of Hungarian expatriates and sponsored by Bela Lugosi. The sports page of the Sun newspaper reported that the Hungarians defeated the Santa Fe squad by a score of 7-3. There was no mention in the article if Lugosi attended the game. In December 1940, this item ran in the Desert Sun newspaper of Palm Springs, California. A gossip column reported that Bela Lugosi and his family were spotted at the Royal Palms Hotel, resting, sunning, and swimming. The Royal Palms Hotel was a popular destination for celebrities, particularly during late fall and winter when temperatures were cooler. Wikipedia reports that from 1944 to 1953, Bela Lugosi and his wife Lillian owned lakeshore property in the IE city of Lake Elsinore. Their son, Bela Jr., was boarded at the Elsinore Naval and Military School in Lake Elsinore. Despite Bela Lugosi's association with the Dracula character, he only played the role twice in the movies. The second time was in the 1949 horror comedy Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Lugosi received good reviews for his performance, but it was the last time he appeared in a Universal or any other major studio production. In this photo, Bela Lugosi Jr. is seen visiting his father on the set of Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. He is wearing his school uniform from the Elsinore Naval and Military School in Lake Elsinore. He wanted to blend in with his fellow students, but it was difficult given the notoriety of his name. Bela Jr. wrote, "Dad was just the opposite. He loved the limelight. The military school held a parade every Sunday afternoon for the parents, and Dad would always put on a one-man show. He and my mother would arrive in a large black limousine or later a sporty blue roadster. Everyone would know that Dad had arrived. Dad liked to go to his home at Lake Elsinore. There he visited, whenever possible, the nearby Glen Ivy Hot Springs baths." The steady decline of Bela Lugosi's movie career continued in the 1950s. This San Bernardino Daily Sun editorial appeared in November 1951. It commented on how income tax laws had unfairly treated celebrities like boxer Joe Louis, opera baritone Giuseppe De Luca, and actor Bela Lugosi. It described the tragedy of Bela Lugosi, one-time prime star of horror movies, now nearly penniless because taxes left him so little to save during the years when he had large earnings from his motion pictures. The downswing of Bela Lugosi's movie career continued with the 1952 movie Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla. It was a minor studio B-movie with Lugosi sharing screen time with a nightclub comedy team of Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis impersonators, Ramona the Chimp, and an actor in a gorilla suit. At this low point of his career, Bela Lugosi crossed paths with fledgling filmmaker Edward D. Wood, Jr. Wood wrote, directed, and starred in a 1953 sex change exploitation film originally titled I Changed My Sex. Wood secured the services of Lugosi for the film. The film was eventually released as Glenn or Glenda in 1953. It has been described as a docudrama about cross-dressing and transvestism. It was reportedly semi-autobiographical in nature because writer, director, actor Ed Wood himself was a cross-dresser. Wood described Bela Lugosi's role in the film as an all-powerful science god figure. July 1953 saw the end of the 20-year marriage of Lillian and Bela Lugosi. Of her husband, Lillian revealed, "He kept me under his thumb 24 hours a day. He checked up on me when I went to the dentist's office. He charged me with infidelity." To earn additional income, Bela Lugosi began booking personal appearances, like this New Year's Eve show at the West Coast Theater in downtown San Bernardino. 5 movies were exhibited for the admission price of 50 cents. Lugosi was the guest host and gave out autographed photos to the attendees of these all-night movies. In a photo taken that night, it can be seen that Lugosi appeared in full Dracula attire. Appearing with him were his Glenn and Glenda co-stars, Dolores Fuller and Ed Wood. Bela Lugosi's next project with Ed Wood was the 1955 self-proclaimed shocker, Bride of the Monster. The poster for the movie claimed that the film was more horrifying than Dracula or Frankenstein. In April 1955, Bela Lugosi went public with his chronic abuse of narcotics. He requested to be committed to a California state hospital to cure him of his addictions. In the article, Lugosi's former wife Lillian claimed that at the time of their 1953 divorce, their only assets were an automobile, a few Lake Elsinore lots, and an insurance policy on Lugosi's life. By July of 1955, Bela Lugosi claimed he was cured of his drug habit. He was released from his 3-month stay at the Metropolitan State Hospital in California. He said that his abuse of drugs began in the 1930s when he started to take morphine to treat leg pains. From that point, he went on to abuse other drugs. Parade magazine appeared every Sunday as a supplement to the San Bernardino Sun-Telegram newspaper. In the August 12, 1956 issue, an interview with Bela Lugosi appeared. In the article, next to a photo of Lugosi and his 5th wife, Hope, the headline read, "How I Beat the Curse of Dope Addiction." Lugosi closed the article by saying, "They say that narcotics addicts never really overcome the habit, that sooner or later they succumb to the temptation. That's not true. I am proof of the fact that it is not true. It has been more than a year since I had an injection of Demerol. Not once since I left the hospital have I had that awful craving for narcotics." Sadly, some 5 days after the publication of the Parade article, newspapers reported the passing of Bela Lugosi. The coroner's office attributed his death to a heart attack. The next day, it was reported that Bela Lugosi was to be buried wearing a replica of the cape he wore while portraying Dracula in the 1931 movie. It was a Lugosi family decision to do this. In September 1956, it was reported that Bela Lugosi's estate had dwindled down to $2,900. It was left to his 18-year-old son, Bela Jr., and his widow, Hope. But the passing of Bela Lugosi did not mean the end of his collaboration with producer-director Ed Wood. The filmmaker had a few minutes of 16mm silent test film footage of Lugosi. Wood surrounded it with new footage to create Plan 9 from Outer Space. A number of critics have called it the worst movie ever made. But Bela Lugosi's portrayal of the Dracula character never really strayed far from the public's consciousness. In the 1950s and 60s, the Dracula film became a staple of local TV late-night horror movie programs. In the IE, the 1964 Colton High junior class presented their version of the 1927 Broadway play, no doubt heavily influenced by Lugosi's portrayal of Count Dracula. 30 years later, producer-director Tim Burton released a biopic about the career of Ed Wood and his work with Bela Lugosi. The 1994 film won 2 Academy Awards. The movie featured Martin Landau as Bela Lugosi, Sarah Jessica Parker as Dolores Fuller, and Johnny Depp as Ed Wood. And so, almost 40 years after the passing of Bela Lugosi, the Tim Burton movie revived the public's interest in the careers of both Bela Lugosi and Ed Wood. Lugosi's final resting place is at the Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City, California.
White on white, translucent black capes, back on the rack. Bela Lugosi's dead, the bats have left.